And this Decalogue train just keeps on rolling. Alright, today we're going to look at the final three films in the series, Decalogues 8, 9, and 10. So Decalogue 8 is for the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, false test of... Can't talk today. So Decalogue 8 is for the commandment, thou shalt not bear false testimony against thy neighbor. And this one I thought was very, very interesting, at least for the first 20 minutes or so. Hi! Oh, Luna thinks it's interesting too, don't you? I thought it was really interesting for the first act. There's an ethics professor, and she's teaching her class, and she gets a visit from a journalist from New York who translated her books. And in the class, basically students submit scenarios, ethical dilemmas, and they discuss them. And this is starting to feel really familiar because I feel like that's what this whole series is doing, is it's providing ethical dilemmas that I've been discussing with myself, with you, with Cody, with Luna, and it was very interesting when the first ethical dilemma proposed is the plot of Decalogue 2. I loved that. It was a great call, and it actually led right into the dilemma of this episode, which was in the war in 1943. A young Jewish girl was offered a place to stay, a place to hide from the Germans, and at the last minute was denied that place because the people that were going to hold her were Catholic, and they told her that one of the commandments is that we can't lie, can't bear false witness, and they would be willingly breaking that commandment and taking her in. It turns out that this woman from New York was that little girl, and the ethics professor is the one who denied her. So it was very meta that it's like this series about ethical dilemmas. One of these dilemmas hits this ethics professor. The rest of it, the second, third acts of the short, they go back to the building in which she was living when she denied the girl, and it's not a great building, not in a great part of town. And then they go to visit the man who would have actually taken her in. And he doesn't want to talk about anything about the war, doesn't want to talk to her or anything. And the professor explains the real reason why they didn't take her in, and that was they had false intel saying that she was related to a German spy. Wasn't true, but I think the moral of it was that well, not the moral, but the thing that connected it to Decalogue 2 was that she said when the plot of 2 was brought up that the most important thing is that the child lived. And she even explains that she knows the doctor and the woman from Decalogue 2, because they all live in the same apartment building, which is fantastic. And in the end of this story, the most important thing is that the child lived. Whether or not they made bad decisions during the war, or could have done something different, the child lived. It was far less likely that this child would live than they would have liked, but she did. But things could have easily ended up differently. Which, yeah, so it's something to think about with that. Choices we make. It's not super connected to that specific commandment, even though it is a running theme in this episode. But overall, pretty good episode. It wasn't as soul-crushing as a few, but it was still entertaining, and that first act was fantastic. I was still, that whole first act, I just wanted to see what would happen next, so it was a good one. Next, gonna look at Decalogue 9. Decalogue 9. We are almost done this series. This one covers the 9th commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. I can talk. I know how to do this. I've been doing it for years. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. This film follows a man named Roman who finds out that he's impotent, and then finds out that his wife has been cheating on him. And then after she breaks it up, he thinks that she is still cheating on him, so decides to commit suicide, because you can't have a Kieslowski film without a suicide attempt, or dying children, or killings, or whatever. He doesn't die in the end, and he finds out it was just a misunderstanding, and the guy that his wife was cheating on him with was like a creepy stalker, and like followed her to a ski trip and stuff. And they reconcile things at the end, which is nice. It's a more upbeat ending than a lot of the other ones that I've watched. Overall, I didn't really follow this one too well. It didn't interest me as much as some of the other ones have. Did have some a good line though. There's one line that she says to him after she finds out that he's impotent. They won't be able to have marital enjoyment anymore. She says that love is about what's in the heart and not between the legs. Like, that line was really spoke to me as a man who's getting married in August. The meaning of love is important to me in my life right now. And the other thing, there's a really cool shot after he finds her cheating, and she actually breaks off the affair, but after that she confronts Roman, and the way the shot is framed is on the right hand side is a mirror, and the left hand side is the door she enters from. So you see both of their faces perfectly clear as they're having this tense conversation, and it was just a really well framed shot. They were able to do it with one camera angle, which I thought was pretty cool. I always love shots like that aren't just the standard over the shoulder conversation shots. Alright, moving on to the final Decalogue, Decalogue 10, right over here. The Decalogue 10. This one was a breath of fresh air. The first 9 have been like drama, a little bleak, but this one was more of a black comedy, which was fantastic. Change of pace. It covers the 10th commandment, which is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. The story is 2 brothers see each other for the first time in about 2 years when their father dies. They go check out his apartment, and he lives it looks like he lives in squalor, but he has all these locks on his doors, and his windows are nailed shut. He has these 2 cabinets that are locked in his apartment. When they open them up, they find this stamp collection, and they know nothing about it. So through a series of misadventures and wackiness, so this for Kieslowski wackiness, not like cartoons, but it's more lighthearted. They find out that the stamp collection is worth millions, and suddenly their criticism of their father's locks and secrecy hits them tenfold, and they start installing alarm systems and bars on the windows and stuff like this to protect their new wealth. And they see an opportunity to gain a one-of-a-kind stamp. So one of the brothers actually gives his kidney to the owner of the stamp, and while he does so, their whole collection is robbed. And they blame each other for it to the police, but in the end they realize, it was probably this other guy that knew their father, and this store owner that they gave the kidney to, and this other guy, and it was probably them, and they reconcile their differences, but not before each separately buying a new series of stamps from the post office. So it all comes full circle, and they kind of acquire their father's collection without actually acquiring the collection in the end. It was charming. Both brothers were fantastic in this, and both very interesting, unique characters. I really enjoyed this one. I also got a kick out of when they buy the new stamps, the current collection of stamps. One of them is a World Championship Wrestling series, and I got a real kick out of that. They showed the stamp itself, and it wasn't like Sting and Ric Flair or anything like that, but it was funny. It was WCW was showing up in this Polish film about greed. Awesome. So yeah, 10, Decalogue 10, very, very entertaining finale to the series. And that's it. That's 10. We're done. Took you guys 3 days to watch this, if you did, which you probably didn't. It took me about, I want to say, 8 days to get through all 10. Been doing 1 or 2 a day. Overall, not all of them are winners, but those that hit hard and hit well. So I highly, highly recommend go check out Decalogue 1, go check out Decalogue 5, and go check out Decalogue 10. Those 3 are the peak for me, and it's funny because I have these on, I borrowed these on DVD from the library. They came in 3 different volumes, and each of those 3 was on one of the volumes, so it's like, oh great, I can't even recommend, oh just get volume 1, that's all, no, you'll need to get all 3 or find them online. I'm not sure if they're online anywhere. I didn't look super hard, but I didn't see them either. A short film about killing is on Hulu, so if all else fails, at least check that out. That's the extended version of Decalogue 5. 2 other things I want to bring up. There's some recurring stuff throughout the series, not just like characters showing up in other stories, but there is one character, unnamed, never says a word, played by this actor, I'm going to mess up this name, Artur Bartis, I believe. I'm sure that's not pronounced right. But he shows up in all but 2 of them, just as a character is about to make an important decision. So in Decalogue 9, right before Roman rides his bike off a bridge, he looks over and he sees this other man and he looks up at him. And in 5, as the cab driver is going out of town about to get murdered by his fare, he drives by a construction worker who's played by this actor, and he just looks and shakes his head. And it's... Kieslowski has said that it's not supposed to be Jesus. He's just a man who is unhappy with us and what we do in the world. But I kept calling him Jesus in my mind when I'd be watching these. And, Cody, there's Jesus. Oh, Jesus is here. He's not too happy. So it felt like Jesus, especially if you're talking about something with like the 10 Commandments, or God, if you will. But it was just an interesting little theme. Another theme was milk. I think like 6 or 7 of them characters are buying milk, drinking milk, spilling milk, that kind of thing. Like in a 6, when the kid is spying on the woman in the other building, and he sees her crying. She's crying literally over spilled milk. And I think in Decalogue 1, the child says like the milk is spoiled that they're drinking and stuff like that. So it's like I have no idea what it means, but everyone drinks milk. So it's something. It's like a little through line that goes through all 10, even though none of them are really connected. So yeah, that was Krzysztof Kieslowski's The Decalogue. Yeah, glad I watched it. I won't watch all of them again. I may look at a short film about killing at some point in the future. But yeah, it was an interesting ride going through these Polish short films. That's for sure. Tomorrow, I have no idea what I'm doing yet, because I'm recording this on the 18th, and this is not going up until the 26th. So I haven't thought that far ahead yet. And so, yeah, to tune in tomorrow, see what I'm watching. It's probably going to be something garbage, but we'll find out. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments below, suggest a movie for me to watch, and I probably will. Till then, bye.